welcome back to Shutterbug Club. I'm your host, Sue, and we have a very special guest with us today. This is Matthew Orbaugh. Hey, Matthew, how are you
Hello.
doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad you decided to join me on this podcast, and I'm so excited to hear what you have to talk about. I know you have some really good stuff that my audience is going to love.
Excited.
Yay. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit? Just tell us where you're based and what it is you do.
Yep. So I am Matthew Orbaugh. I'm a senior portrait photographer based out of Zionsville, Indiana. It's about like 30 minutes out, it's 30 minutes north of Indianapolis. And yeah, so I'm a senior portrait photographer here. I started this back in 2020 as a COVID hobby. I was in eighth grade. And so it just kind of, I needed something creative to do. And I had gotten a camera for Christmas that year and had like never touched it. It was a good old Canon Rebel, sat in the corner of my room. And some friends wanted Instagram pictures when we could only like hang out with people outside. And I was like, I'll use this. And then it all just kind of went from there. So then all throughout high school, I continued on with my business and just kept growing and growing. And it grew a lot faster than I expected. And then kind of junior year when it was time to sit down and figure out what I wanted to do after high school, I was like, I don't want to go to college. I don't like being told what to do. And school is boring for me. So I decided to go full time with my business right after high school. I graduated from high school in 2024 and now kind of here I am. So, yes.
Wow. So 2025 has been your first year full time?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, well, I started like right after I graduated in 2024. So, class of
Okay.
5 was my first like full time year.
Wait, we're the same. I graduated college in 2024. And so ever since then, it's been my first full year.
So fun. I
So
love that.
that's really cool. And you said you do senior. Is senior like all you photograph? Do you do other niches?
So I'll occasionally throw in a family, but my rule for that is you have to be a senior client of mine.
Oh, okay.
And I'm still like particular with who because I don't know families like I'm not just fully in love with them, so I don't want it to be like every person on the planet. But yeah, seniors are kind of my main thing, and I love taking a more fashion editorial approach to everything. I love pulling inspiration from like, especially the fashion photographers of the '90s and everything like that.
Yeah.
That's my favorite kind of era, and I love incorporating that into my work as much as possible.
Yeah, that's so cool. You can really see that in your work too. It's very fashion forward, and your whole style closet is so fun. I love it. You got a dress. I don't know if it was recently, but like that pink ruffly one. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking
Yep.
about?
Mhm. Where it's
That
like
one
this
is
big like, yep. That's one of
so
my
pretty.
favorites.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm obsessed with it. Okay, so Matthew, you do in-person sales, right?
I do, and I love it.
You love it. Okay, can you tell us a little bit about that? Did you always do in-person sales, or when did you start that?
No, so my first year going in to full time, when I realized I had the time to sit down and dedicate it towards in-person sales, I decided to go, just full on for it. I really kind of had a realization midway through my senior year of high school that I felt I was doing a disservice to my clients by just handing over a link of files and saying good luck. I think we're spending so much time getting to know our clients, who they are, and really capturing these photos. And I felt just like a drop off. So we were going full experience and everything. And then just all of a sudden it stops. I don't want the session and experience to stop after we're done photographing. I want that to continue on and really give them that incredible full service experience from the first initial phone call I get on with them all the way to handing them their products all nicely packaged and everything like that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, was it difficult for you to make that switch from all-inclusive? Is that what it's called? Like
Yeah.
Dodge, not Dodge. Shoot and burn and like all-inclusive are the same, right?
Yeah. Um,
Okay.
I wouldn't say it was too difficult for me considering the price range I was already at. I made it like I did it in a way where it was just kind of gradually, just like, your standard kind of raising your prices of stuff.
Hmm.
But I think anytime you're raising your prices, you also need to understand that you need to add more value to that as well. So unless you say already have like that great value behind everything and your clients can understand that what you're offering them works with the price tag that is behind it. But say if you're just, showing up for an hour and a half or half an hour, and like giving them like an outfit, or basically giving them a mini session and expecting them to pay $6,000, I think you got to kind of rework your mind frame a little bit there. Um, yeah, you just kind of have to go above and beyond with everything and really sharing that value behind it all. But I
But
wouldn't
you were
say it
already
was,
doing that.
yeah, exactly. That was kind of my whole thing. So I was like making sure that I had the professional hair and makeup included with all my sessions, to really just, make it like that full service experience. I wanted to be, how I kind of phrase it is I wanted it to be like Tiffany's, where you walk in, they're greeting you right at the door. They're asking you about yourself, what you're looking for, how they can help you, everything like that, rather than going to Target and going through the self checkout.
Yes, exactly. I love that comparison. You mentioned that in your questionnaire. Matthew said, "It's not Target, it's Tiffany& and Co."
Exactly.
Which is perfect. It's so good. I know, because I was, like, using a Gucci comparison. I'm like, I
Exactly.
want
Yeah.
my brand to be immediately recognizable and known for quality, so that's really cool. So can you kinda talk about why the shoot and burn or, like, only digital model of business is not sustainable?
So I think that's kind of like a hot topic. Some people will probably get upset by me saying that, but I'm very passionate about why I like what I do and why I think it's important for photographers to have that. And I think one, if you just fully, it comes down to looking at your numbers. If say you are shooting a session for $1,000 or whatever, to make $100,000 or to have that just in sales or whatever, because that's technically not even what you're profiting.
Mhm.
You'd have to shoot 100 clients a year. I don't want to do that at all. I want to shoot less than half of that. Um, I think it. I felt so much more burnt out, because you're having to deliver more photos. You're having
Mhm.
to, just do all this extra stuff that I don't feel like was really translating to the value and the price tag that I wanted to be at.
Yeah, it's just like you have to work so hard and you're working more, but you're making less, and so you get burnt out really easily.
Yeah. Especially, I
Yeah.
think so many photographers are just kind of slapping a price on their work and not really going in and analyzing their cost of doing business, what they need to be making for all their expenses per month, both personal and business. Um,
That's so
just
good, especially because it's a little harder to figure out a price when you're only charging for your service at that point, like, you don't have any products, you're just calculating how much your time is worth.
Yeah, 1000%. And I think so many photographers are undervaluing themselves and looking at just what other photographers around them are doing, which I think that's probably one of the things that can hurt you most in your business is constantly saying, "Oh, well, Jenny from the block is charging $300 for a 4 hour session with the 500 digital." Is Jenny from the block shooting every single day, morning and night? Maybe, and maybe that's her version of success. To me, that's not success, in my personal life, and that's not where I want to be. And so I think, again, really coming in and thinking, what do I need to make to contribute to my family or contribute to myself, and so that I can be living and eating. Um, I think that's really important, and making sure that you know your numbers at the end of the day, so that you can confidently say, "Yep, this order's $6,000." And then if a client looks at you and says, "Oh, that's really expensive," you can respond back with, "Yeah, it is, and it's great. You're gonna love it."
Yeah. Wow, I love that response. So, in switching to in-person sales, you've been able to average like 4 to $5,000 sales each time, and you mentioned that you've even hit like $15,000 sales.
Yes, I've
Can
had a
you talk about that and tell me kind of what goes into that?
So, like I kind of said earlier, it all starts from the very beginning with educating your clients and making it feel like that luxury experience. So, when a client fills out my contact form on the website, I'm immediately picking up the phone and calling them and saying, "What is your child like? What can I do for them?" Really phrasing it as a service, not just whatever. Because at the end of the day, like photography, it's not a need, like it's a want. And
Mhm.
so I mean, yeah, just really, getting to know who they are as a person and making it feel like a personable experience, like they do in a luxury store. And then it comes down to meeting them for a consultation in person again. You could do it over Zoom. It's just kind of whatever works for you. I'm lucky enough to have a physical studio, so I do prefer doing them in person. I've noticed a big difference.
do you hop on the call and then you have a consultation? So you
Yeah,
talk to them.
so I get on
Sorry.
the no, you're all good. So I get on the call, and that's when we're booking their session. That's when I'm
Okay.
telling them about the experience that I offer, what all I do, and again, getting to know them just a little bit to have kind of
Mhm.
that background to make sure that we're going to be a good fit for
Okay.
each other. So I'm talking them through kind of my pricing and what I do from the very beginning. I'm telling them that I'm not like other photographers where I'm not just going to hand them over that disc of files and say, good luck. I'm a full service studio where I offer printed products and making sure that their photos live on and don't just rot in their camera roll. Whether it be something like albums, wall portraits, or your gift for grandma for Christmas that year. I want to be there to help them with that every step of the way. So,
Okay, so right away on this first call, you're already building up that value of
yep,
the artwork and the prints.
yes, planting the seed from the very beginning about product. I think that's super important. Um,
I think
yes,
that's a mistake a lot of people make at first when they try and get into in-person sales is it comes time for the sale and the client's like, what? Like I didn't know I had to buy all of these things and they don't really understand the value. So I love that you're mentioning that you do that right away.
yes, yeah. I think that's. I know I would be pissed if I had to walk in somewhere and they're like, "Okay, pay me $5,000 or else." Like, and I had no clue what it was because, say, if you're just kind of sending over a magazine being like, "My albums are $2,000." In a client's mind, when they hear photo album, they're picturing a Shutterfly book. They're not picturing my beautiful White House custom color album with the super thick lay flat pages and the acrylic covers and everything like that. That's just not where their mind goes to.
That's so
So you
true.
have to really kind of yes over exaggerate a little bit on what these products are and why they're better than what they are used to from consumer grade labs. Um, but again, at the end of the day, it's you're not forcing a client to buy anything. They can always say no, but kind of educating them as to why they should be purchasing with you, I think that's super important, something a lot of photographers miss.
Yeah, that's really good. So then after this call, you said you have an in-person consult with them?
Yes, so that's when we're starting to plan out every little detail for their session. So we're talking again about products. So they're in here. I have samples out of all of my stuff. I have wall displays all around my studio of wall art. So that from the again, the second they walk into my studio, they're seeing product and that's on their mind. I don't have any. I don't really ever talk about digital files. Yes, I offer them. We can get into that more how I do that in a second. But during that in-person consultation, again, I'm really getting to know them, what they want, having them show me physical images of my own that they've liked to kind of see why they booked me, who they're booking me from. And we're going over their outfits and talking about what outfit's going to work best in this location or just every little thing like that. And then also I'm starting to talk with parents about what can I do for you product wise? What are you seeing around here that interests you? Um,
Mhm.
and
So
then
you get them kinda deciding before you've even had the photo shoot?
1000%, yes.
Okay. And then I'm curious why you do kind of 2 consults, because you have that first call and then the in-person one. How are they different, and why do you do 2 instead of just combining it into 1?
So that first initial call, again, that's going to be like the same thing as sending over. It's like a similar version of sending over an email back with all your prices and stuff. That first one is when I'm talking about what the experience is and what's all included in booking with me and why they should book with me. The second one after, they've already booked with me and already have a session on my calendar. So what that is that's again another time to meet in person face to face before the session so that by the time we're showing up for the session they already know who I am and they're comfortable around me and it's just bringing kind of that relationship, that full service experience. I look at it as like buying a Birkin where you can't just go in and buy a Birkin bag any day. You have to build up kind of that repertoire at Hermes. Um, then one day they're like they pull you into the back room and they're like, "Do you want to buy a Birkin?" I kind of look at it from something like that of again building that relationship with clients and yeah, making it something like that. That second consult is also when they're able to try on stuff from my style closet and borrow things like that. Yeah,
Okay, so it's, like, combined with a fashion
yeah.
consultation.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that brings a lot of value. Okay, and then is there anything else you do with them before their session?
Um, I have all sorts of different prep emails. I send them a welcome packet over in the mail of these different cards that I printed out from White House Custom Color. Of it has like a QR code to my what to wear guide, which is a full, I think it's like 70 pages or whatever, of how to dress for your body type, how to dress for your different skin tones, seasons, different aesthetics or whatever. Every little detail so that I'm not getting as many texts of, oh, what should I wear? If you want to know what to wear, look in that guide. It's talking about how to prep their skin for their session, their nails, recommended polish colors, what to bring on the day of their session, where to meet us, that, time for their hair and makeup, everything like that. Yeah, so I'm sending them that packet about a month before their session. So again, keeping them excited, giving them something tangible to hold on to, because everyone loves getting mail. And so that's again also adding value into the service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then can you kind of walk us through now what happens after the session and how you prep for your ordering appointments?
Also going into the session as well, we're still talking about products. I'm keeping those sample products out while clients getting hair and makeup done for mom to flip through and still look at. So it's always on her mind. While I'm shooting, if there's a really cool photo that I take, I will show it to them and say, "Oh my God, imagine this on a big 40 by, not 40 by 60, 30 by 40 metal on your wall." It's like, wouldn't that look beautiful? So that again, the gears are turning in their head about product. And the amount of times I'm sitting in a sales session and mom or dad is like, "Whoa, what were you saying about that metal or whatever with that one photo? I really like the idea of that. I think that sounds really cool." So again, it's just planting that seed throughout every little step of it. So we do the session, and once we finish, I'm scheduling their ordering appointment on the day of their session with them. Um,
Oh, on the
so,
same day?
so I'm not doing the ordering appointment on the
But
same
you're
day.
just scheduling it.
We're
Okay.
scheduling it then. So then that's also keeping me on a deadline and also giving them, they're not texting saying, "Oh, are my photos ready or everything?" They know I'm going to see my photos a week and a half or so later. Um, yeah, so then we meet for the ordering appointment here at my studio. I walk them through the front door. I ask them if they would like any refreshments. I keep all sorts of different stuff in my studio fridge, all snacks and everything. Play a slideshow for them with like sad, sentimental music so that mom starts to cry because, people buy in with emotion. It's a
Mhm.
whole thing. It's all
Do the
psych.
parents usually cry?
Oh, pretty much every time. Yeah.
Wow.
I always keep tissues out in front of them as well. So, um, yeah. So, I mean, some could say that's a little shady, but again, it's just, I don't consider it shady as much as I'm saying, sharing the value of why they need these products. Because again, it's their kids' last time really living at home before they go off on their own. But,
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't consider it shady at all because people want to cry, like, people watch movies to cry, they want that emotion to be felt.
yeah, 1000%. And so, um, I think too, it also kind of helps them with, like, say, with the bigger sales or whatever. It helps them, kind of understand that yes, these are important. This is valuable. This is worth the price that I'm paying, and I would do it all over again. But yeah, so during that sales session, I'm showing them that slideshow, and then we start talking about products. I walk them through every little product that I offer. And I don't spend a lot of time talking about what I call like the grandparent products. So that's going to be your 5x7s, 8x10s,
Mhm.
anything that could like fit on a bookshelf or anything like that. I'm talking about my flagship products, which are going to be my wall art and my albums, especially my albums. I don't, every single client that I've ever done a sales session with, I'd say apart from maybe two or three, has walked away with an album just because I'm really passionate about them. And so when you're passionate about the products that you sell, your clients are going to be able to feel that, and you're going to have a much easier time selling it if you're selling product that you love.
Yeah. You mentioned your flagship product with it, which is your album and your wall art. Can you first explain what a flagship product is?
Yeah. So what I consider a flagship product to be is like either the product you're most passionate about or the product that you want every single client to have no matter what. For me, that's going to be an album. Especially with the way I do my albums and everything, they fit my brand to a T. And again, I want every single client to have one of those. I think it's such a great way to fit so many photos in one spot. and it's just a really great keepsake to have. So even if they're moving or whatever, they don't have to worry about bringing huge wall art with them. Obviously, I love to sell wall art, and I think that's still something super important for the clients to have. But especially kind of in my area with where interior design trends are going, there's a lot of glass in houses, and people are kind of, I will say, phasing away a little bit from big wall art collections and stuff like that. But a client can never really say no to an album. Like, you don't have a spot for an 8 by 12 in your house. Well, I think we gotta get you on Hoarders or something like that. If you say you don't have that space. So,
That's so true. Yeah, that's such a good point. So your flagship product is really like what you're known for and what pretty much every client is going to walk away with. So can you talk a little bit about your packages you offer and maybe a little bit of your pricing and like is your flagship product in all of your packages?
so I actually don't offer any packages or collections. So the way I kind of looked at it is when I was going through and I offered collections and everything like that, I felt that clients were stopping at one specific collection and they felt like they had it all. They had that top collection and they didn't need to go any higher. Because as much as we want clients to spend a lot, clients also want to be a good client as well and want us to like them. And so I think they were viewing that top collection as being the best client possible. It's the best of the best, whatever. Whereas you're still wanting to sell more on top of that and get to a higher price range, whatever. And so the way I kind of looked at it is, again, back to that Target versus Tiffany's situation. When you're going to McDonald's and you're getting a meal or whatever with a drink, fries, and your entree, how often are you adding on, say, the apple pie or whatever like that? Rarely ever. But when you're going to a nicer steakhouse, everything is all a la carte. So you're getting your steak. And then if you want sides, that's going to be a little bit extra, or it's just all in different sections of the menu. They don't have packaged meals there. So I kind of brought that into my own business, and I've noticed my sales have gone up exponentially. So how it kind of works now is they pay their session fee, which is just for my time itself. There's no products or anything or product credit or anything like that in there. That is just for the session. Then I do have a minimum order requirement. And so that's kind of just based off of my expenses, what I need to make to break even. Typically, they are going to spend more than that order minimum requirement. I have had people spend just that who just want a couple prints, whatever. That's their prerogative. That's they do what they want to do. But I will say at the end of the day, most people do spend significantly more than was he going to say? Yeah, so I do everything a la carte, and anything that they print, they're going to get the digital file of that as well, which is why I push so hard for albums because that's kind of where they're getting their best value or the most amount of photos, which is what the girls want at the end of the day. So.
Okay, so how do you go about that in determining the number of images? Do your albums come with a set number of images?
So all my albums start with 30 images in there, and then each additional image they want to add in is a set cost or whatever. So, yes.
Okay. So can you, I know you don't have any packages, but is there like a kind of average or most popular certain items off your a la carte menu that clients will get? Like what is typically included in your average sell?
So what most people do is they'll do an album and they'll typically bump it up to around 45 to 50 images. And so, yeah, they'll do an album for sure. Some will keep it just my standard album that I do. Some will upgrade it to that acrylic cover. It just, kind of depends on whatever style they prefer. Pretty much everyone does at least one or two items for the walls, sometimes more. And so I'm really big about showing wall art collections, one around in my studio, and then also I'll create mock-ups of their own images using Fundy, which if you haven't used that for your albums especially, it's really great. You can just upload your images, click auto design, and it's done in about 2 minutes. It's incredible. Love them. But yeah, so they're typically doing the album, one or two pieces for the walls, and then throwing in some smaller gift products. So how I'm structuring my sales session is we start talking about the album first, what images they want in there. Then I transition it into the wall art, saying, okay, I'm going to assume that you want something for your walls. Um, and then they're like, yeah, probably. And so they'll do either one big piece, a couple small pieces. It just depends on their own look and what they prefer. And then we talk about those smaller products that I just call revenue drivers. So that's going to be your 5x7s, your 8x10s, your acrylic blocks, anything like that that you're offering that's considered like a more, I don't want to say like knickknack because that sounds wrong because it's none of it's like none of it's like that, but that's kind of how
Okay.
I'm structuring it, and that's most of the time what people are doing. So they're picking at least something from each category.
And as they're doing that, are you kind of walking them through that? Like, let's look at this section, then let's look at this section, or do they kind of go in already knowing I want this, this, and this?
Yeah, most of the time clients do kind of know or have a general idea of what they're wanting to do because again, I'm planting that seed and talking them through what I think they should have.
Mm,
Um, because we, at the end of the day, are the professionals and they trust us. The amount of clients I have that say, okay, well, what image would you pick for the cover? Which one do you think we should do on the walls? Which one's your favorite? Because
mhm,
they're paying for that high end service, so they're expecting a certain level of knowledge on our behalf, and it's our work at the end of the day, and we know what is best, and so they really trust and value that opinion. But yeah, they kind of do walk in knowing already pretty much what they want to do. That ordering appointment is just tightening up everything and really, finalizing those decisions.
mhm. Okay, so can you walk me through what happened during one of your cells where you hit like really big, one of your largest cells, like 15, 12,000, and kind of what you think the difference was that pushed that cell so much higher?
Well, I don't ever want to have any resentment towards a client who's spending my minimum versus who's spending that $15,000. I want to treat them like they are getting the same exact experience from start to finish. So I don't really feel like I'm doing much different. It's just in terms of what the client is wanting and how they're kind of doing it. So I think would the sales have been not as high if I still continued with those collections? Absolutely. I feel like they would have been smaller sales. Um, but because there was no ceiling really or any cap, we just kept kind of adding stuff on. They were saying, oh, well, I want to do this for this section of the house, or we're going to do an album for this set of grandparents and this set of grandparents too. Um, and just stuff kind of like that. So I
Mhm.
think it just comes down to people kind of know what they want to spend, or what they're willing to spend when it comes like time for that. And when they feel like a number and what they have is okay, that's kind of when they stop.
And did those sales have anything to do with the digital, or was it mostly they just wanted multiple prints?
So I don't have digitals as like a separate item on my product collection. So yes, I do give them a digital file with anything they print. And I'm very upfront about talking about that from the beginning. Um, but they all kind of knew that they want that tangible product. With a higher end client, they value the service and they value doing everything. And I always say to them, I'm here to take things off of your plate, not add to it. Because the last thing that they want to have to go do is figure out what sizes to print, where to print from,
Mhm.
everything like that. And so when they're in here and they're like, okay, we can just get it all done now, let's do it. Like, does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. Do you let your clients choose their images? Do they look through like a collection and pick out their favorites?
Yeah, so I don't show my clients edited images. I'm really big on getting my images pretty dang perfect straight out of camera. And so I'm fine showing them unretouched ones. And so I show them about roughly like 110 proofs, and then we're narrowing that down, and they like that because they feel like they're getting the decision and what they want.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm sure, as you know, girls are very particular about certain things, and again, it's they feel like they're getting a say in everything, with what images we're picking. Sometimes they're picking images that I never would have picked, but most of the time I will say they are picking the ones that I would have picked anyway. Because, like I said, they're asking me, oh, well, which one do you
Mhm.
think? What do you think in this situation? So, yeah, we're kind of narrowing it down from that 100 to around, say, 50 or so.
Okay. Is that your average amount of digitals that you end up usually giving out?
Yeah, I would say so. And I feel like that's kind of the perfect number because
Mhm.
realistically, what are they going to do with more than that? Like,
Mhm.
they have enough to get in the album. They have the stuff for the feed for the walls, and then the girls have all those to post on Instagram. Um, yeah. So I don't personally feel like they need more than that, and I'm big on quality over quantity. So I'd rather spend more time making sure that every little image is perfect rather than giving them 5 bajillion images.
Yeah. That's so good. Can you tell me what some of your struggles were getting into in-person sales and switching models?
Yeah, I think the main thing was kind of that mental block. I think so many photographers are focused on shopping out of their own wallets and not focusing on what their clients can spend. Um, and you never know. I mean, some of my highest sales have been from clients who aren't living in the nicest of homes and from the most affluent areas, everything like that. I think it just comes down to what people value and how they look at it. Kind of what was I saying before? I was saying like, yeah, kind of that mental block of just like understanding that what you're doing is worth that price and these products are worth what you're charging for them. I think that was probably my biggest struggle in the beginning. And then also learning when to say no. I was kind of say if there was a client again saying, "Oh, that's really expensive," I was would immediately default to, "Well, it's printed on this paper of amazing quality that was made by a I don't know, someone in a cave in Ethiopia or something like that." Like clients don't care about
Yeah.
that shit. I'm going to be so
Mhm.
honest, like they do not care. They just care that it's good. Um,
Mhm.
and so immediately I would default to stuff like that or trying to discount or adding in all this stuff, which at the end of the day I
Mhm.
was cutting into my bottom line of what I was making. And so learning just when to say no. And like I said, if the client says, "Wow, that's really expensive," saying, "Yeah, I know, but it's so great and you're going to love every product that you get." And just kind of leaving it at that. um, or just sometimes staying silent. One of my good friends who works over at White House, he always says that the first one to talk loses. So if you're giving them the prices menu and they're saying, "Wow, that's a lot of times I just sit there silent because I'm like, well, that's my price. You knew this, so
Mhm.
yeah."
Yeah.
Um,
That's so good. Can you talk a little bit about how you mentioned being salesy a little bit? Like how when your client says that's expensive, and then it's almost like you switched into a salesperson mode, like trying to sell to them. But I love your view on like in-person sales and how it's not salesy at all.
yeah, I think again, like I said, it's all about just educating them from the beginning and making sure that they know this is kind of what people tend to spend. I'm telling them, "Oh, our albums start at this price. Our wall art starts at this price. Our framed wall art starts at this price." Clients on average tend to spend anywhere from this amount to this amount with us, so that they're kind of going in knowing what most people do. Because there's a lot of keeping up with the Joneses type stuff where um, people again want to know what the friends are doing, what other clients have done in the past. um, and so I've had clients before, like they'll be in a sales session, and again, like say for example, one of my $15,000 orders, they were like, "Is this enough? Like, do you feel like we've got enough?" And I was just like, "Yeah," but
Wow.
the main thing is kind of keeping your cool and again treating every client. I treat my clients who spend $1,200 with me the exact same as I treated that $15,000 client.
Mhm.
It's just everyone has different amounts of what they can spend, and sometimes those clients spending the bare minimum, they have scraped together every penny because they want to work with you so bad. And they want just a little piece of that experience. And so I don't think it's right to have resentment toward those clients, especially say if they're in a situation where they're giving you everything they can.
Yeah. Yeah, so I feel like from what you're saying, the difference between feeling salesy and not feeling salesy, you feel kind of salesy when you're trying to convince them of the quality and explain to them why they would want to purchase it. But it's not salesy the way you do it because you're so confident already in what you offer and you've already explained to them this value. So really now you're at the point where you're like, yes, this is what it is. You can take it or leave it. And
Exactly.
that's why it doesn't feel salesy because you just believe in it so much that it makes them believe in it. And so it's like when it comes time to the sale, you're hardly even selling.
Exactly. That's the point. I feel like I'm selling more in that initial phone call than I am at the sales appointment because they already know what things cost. They already know the value of the product. So it's just kind of figuring out, what you want. I feel like it's adding what kind of tires you want to your car or anything like that. I think especially in the past year, confidence has really been a big thing. From an experience I had, I went to a custom framer in my town to see if I wanted to start offering some of their frames. And the lady when I was talking to in there, she was addressing everything. I would point to a frame and she'd be like, "Oh, well, that one's like really expensive. Like that's an expensive frame." And so immediately I was like, "Yeah, I don't want that one. Then that's expensive." Instead, if she was like, "Here's this beautiful frame. It's $1,500," and just left it at that, I'd be like, "Oh, okay." It's
Yeah,
just
that's so true.
I left that meeting with that lady at the framer and I was like, I never want to sell like that in my life. I
Yeah.
felt so just like, ugh. I was like, yeah, whatever. It just didn't feel right and like an experience I would ever want my clients to have. And so I think it's important to go into those environments of like types of situations that you would be putting yourself in while selling to your client and seeing how other people are doing it. Um, so that you can kind of get a feel for, say, how something makes you feel and how you can better portray that onto your clients.
Yeah. That's so good. What are your thoughts on switching over to in-person sales in such a digital world? Have you found any kind of pushback from the seniors that you work with because they're so young? And I know, especially me at that age, I did not value prints or artwork at all. Like, I just wanted some Instagram photos.
Yeah. So when I'm hopping on that first call when they email me, I'm calling parent. I think that's really important. Making sure that you have some form of digital product is very, very important in this world because, again, that's what the girls want. They want it to post on social media. And I don't see why you wouldn't offer them. If you're already retouching it to go to a print, like you have the file, what's your benefit of it just sitting on your computer?
Hmm.
And that's just going to create more resentment in the end. So while you don't need to focus on making sure that clients have every single digital on the planet or that they can print it up to a 30 by 40, having sending them a file that they can print up to an 8 by 10, say if they need a couple more for their grad party. Because like I said, I don't want to be the photographer who focuses on gift prints and anything like that because that's boring to me. That's not what I want my clients to have in the end. Um, yeah, I think having the digital too, that's also, I mean, it's free marketing for you. They're posting them, they're tagging you, people are seeing that. Easy. So then, say, when friends' moms are seeing those posts that the girls make, they're going to mom immediately saying, "Oh my God, these photos were gorgeous. What was your experience like? Or what was it like working with him?" And they're explaining this full experience for you. It's great. You have, again, free marketing. So I don't know. I think that yes, you need to offer some form of digital in today's world because that is what the girls value, but making sure that you're not just digitals is really important as well.
When you get inquiries, are they typically from the senior or the parent?
I don't really know. I don't really track that. I don't put like, is this form from senior or parent? On the form, I ask for both all the seniors' contact info and all the parents' contact info, and it doesn't let them submit the form unless they put all that in. So, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I'm expensive. I'm not cheap, and I know that. I don't want to be the cheap photographer in this town that everyone can come to. And if someone thinks I'm too expensive, then they're not my client at the end of the day. Um, but yeah, I mean, I I don't really know who my inquiries are coming from. I think it's a mix of both. So
Okay, that's good to know that you recommend the parent information.
one
Yeah,
thousand
because
percent, yeah.
yeah, especially when I was first starting out, I had so many calls, consultation calls where the senior would just hop on the call and yeah, so that's a good way to get around that.
See, that's a big liability issue. If it's just you and a minor on a shoot, like I think, say something goes wrong and there's no parent there, that's a big, big no no.
Yeah. So have you always had the parent from the very beginning,
Absolutely.
even before you did in-person sales?
Yes, 1000%. I think it's really important. And two, also they hold my reflector for me and everything like that.
Honestly, parents are so great to have
Yeah,
at the
they
shoot.
love they loved some people are like, "No, like I don't want the parents to have to do anything." No, they
Mhm.
want to have a part in it. They want to be doing everything. And some people get mad if a parent's behind the scenes taking photos or whatever. I prefer them to do that because more than likely
Mhm.
they're going to take those photos and post them on Facebook that night and say, "We had an awesome time today at our session with Matthew." And then again, that's more people hearing my name and eventually could be coming to me. So.
That's so true. Can you talk now about your print lab? I know it's something you're very passionate about. So how did you go about finding where you wanted to print your photos?
So one of my good friends, he always talks about kind of like dating your print lab. So you're not just going to go on one date with someone and then immediately make him your boyfriend at the end of the day. Like you're going to want to go on a couple dates and see kind of how they're doing things. So I found like two or three different labs that I had heard great things about and printed a couple different products from them a couple different times. And from those three labs, I found one that I felt had the most consistent quality that looked the best for my images. A lab I might love, you might hate the way they print your images. It's just all kind of personal preference. So, but at the end of the day, the lab that I ended up on was White House Custom Color, and I have not regretted it ever since. I don't offer any products that aren't from them, just because I really believe in what they do, the quality of their product, and also who they are as people. I've been lucky enough to work super closely with them throughout the past year, and they're really big on, working with the clients who value them, like I said, and come back to them time after time after time and are loyal to them in a sense. And so, um, yeah, I'm very passionate about White House's products. They have the best customer service on the planet. And like I said, the people behind the products there truly care about what you're doing and want you to have a quality product just as much as you want to have that quality product as well. Um,
That's so true. I also use White House Custom Color and I love it. And they send you like little suckers with
yeah,
some of your packages, and then they have a little note that tells you who prepared your order. They're just so personalized and
exactly.
exactly what you're trying to portray with your business, that luxury, like handmade. You're there every step of the way. So I also love White House Custom Color.
Yeah. And so I had the opportunity this past May to go to their lab and see products be made, and everything is handmade. Like when I was watching one of my albums be made, the only thing that was really done by a machine was the printing of the paper itself. The folding of the leather onto your album and putting it all together, that's all done by hand. And it's been a lady who, when I walked in and she saw my name, she knew what fabrics I was normally ordering, the sizes I normally did. I had an album that was shipped out the day before, and she was like, "Oh yeah, it was this album, and it had a client wearing this, blah blah blah." She was like, "It was really cool. I loved it." And so they just, again, it's a cool process, and it's not just like a robots making all your product. They're real people behind it. Every step of the way, quality inspecting your products, looking over every little detail. There was one page in my album that like didn't look right, I think, and they reprinted it immediately. So yeah, and I've even had orders that like I've sent in and I've messed up and they've taken care of it for me, which I
Wow.
think is incredible. So
Yeah, that's so cool. Okay, Matthew. So if somebody listening really wants to get into in-person sales, what would you say is the first step for them to start doing?
I would say the first step is to just do it. I think there's never really, that sounds so like just bland. There's never really going to be like an ideal time to get into it. Like if you feel like it's something you're passionate about and you want to offer to your clients, jump into it. I think there are so many different educational resources out there to teach you about in-person sales, and it's really not a one size fits all process. At the end of the day, you need to find what works for you and what makes you feel confident in your sales, because like I said earlier, your sales sessions are going to go so much better and you're going to make so much more money if you're confident in what you're doing and the product that you offer.
That's so
So I
good.
think it's hard to compare yourself to a photographer who's been doing it for so long, who is again
Mhm.
getting these massive sales, because there have been photographers who are doing this for 20 years and they're averaging a $20,000 sale. You can't expect to walk in and immediately have that right off the bat. It takes time building up techniques on how to sell, how to get confident in your product and what you're offering. But after a while, it starts to become like second nature, and you can bust out your sales sessions faster and faster, um, and make more and more money. So,
That is actually really good advice too, because that's exactly what I did. I was terrified, but I did it all at once. Like I completely changed everything. And I still remember my first appointments and sales were so bad. Like I was just uncomfortable and awkward, but you just have to do it and you have to get through that and then it
yeah.
gets better.
Yeah, it's like anything. It's like riding a bike. The first time you hop on the bike without training wheels, like you're gonna feel stressed and you're gonna feel a little bit uncomfortable and like you don't have a full grasp on everything. But then, say a month later or so, you're riding your bike all over by yourself. Like anything though, it takes time. But what's really important though is making sure that as you're upping your prices and everything, you're upping that value as well as what goes along with it. So
That's so good. And I know you also offer mentorships
yeah.
for photographers. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so if any photographer's ever curious on just kind of how I do things, feel free to shoot me a DM. I don't do them a ton. It's not my main kind of thing, but if someone's curious on my processes and how I do it all, shoot me a DM and we can get something together and figure it out. So,
Did you also have a mentor for learning in-person sales?
oh yeah, yeah, I've had a couple. Some of my favorites include Sean Brown. He's become a good friend of mine. Same with Tara Rochelle. She was one I learned a lot with shooting and stuff like that. Kind of developing my editorial style. And then honestly, the people at White House Custom Color are great. They have all sorts of free resources on their YouTube that you can learn about, and they have all sorts of people in their company that are there to talk to you about products and how to price things and sales and everything like that. So, my main kind of sales rep that I work with there, him and I are texting constantly about certain things. Oh, I was thinking about this, or he was like, "Oh, have you seen this product? I feel like it would work great for your business." Blah blah blah. Like I
Right.
said, they really care about their
Yeah.
clients and who they're working with, and want the best for every photographer that walks through their door. So
That's so cool. Yeah, I think it's so important really to invest in those mentorships too, to really help you, because I know that's helped me speed things up a lot too. So yeah, if you want to learn more from Matthew, then go send him a DM and learn from him there.
yeah, even if you just want to say hi and ask me my Starbucks order, I'm always there. I love meeting new photographers. So
Can you share your Instagram really quick, Matthew? And I'll
yes.
include it in the show notes.
So it's going to be at Matthew Orbaugh Photo. Yeah, that's the way you can pretty much find me at.
Perfect. Okay, before we end, I have one more thing I started doing. I have these random conversation cards, and so I'm gonna pull a random card and just ask you like a randomly unplanned question. Okay.
Sounds good.
Your question is, oh, I feel like this is actually perfect for you. Okay. Why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because I feel like high school is such a high pressure time for so many girls, and I don't think it should be that way. People can be mean and drag people down, and I believe that every single client that walks through my door, or just any high schooler in general, deserves to feel beautiful and confident in their own skin. Um, if I have a client walk in that's feeling more sheltered and they walk away after our time together, standing up a little bit straighter and feeling a little bit better about themselves, I know that I've done my job at the end of the day. My clients are my why behind everything, and which is why I offer this full service experience because I want them to feel special and I want every single client to walk through my door feeling like they're the only client on my books.
Wow, that's so good. Thank you so much for being here today,
Of
Matthew.
course. I'm glad.